What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 7, Episode 5. So, I never thought in a million years that I would ever say the words that I am on Candace's side, that I agree with Candace. I never thought those words would ever come out of my mouth because for the longest time, I have not liked Candace because just of how evil she is online and the horrible, nasty things that she says about her castmates online because she always likes to hit below the belt. And I've never been a fan of that kind of exchange. But because of how she, even when she was in that fight with Monique, I was slightly kind of like on Monique's side. But now that I've seen how Monique really is on Love and Marriage DC, I have to rethink my position. But I've never been a fan of Candace ever until now because the things that these people are doing to her and her husband is just god awful. Absolutely awful. But let's get into it. So we start off with Ashley. She goes over to Candace's house. She gets to see Candace's new home, which is absolutely beautiful. They talk about Ashley's separation. And Candace asked Ashley, well, in order for y'all to be legally separated, don't y'all have to live in separate homes? And Ashley says, no, we don't have to live in separate homes. We just have to sleep in separate beds. And I'm like, how does the court monitor that to see that y'all are actually legally separated? And what if one spouse says that we were sleeping in the same bed and the other spouse says we were not sleeping in the same bed? Then what do you do in that situation? It's like, how do you monitor that in order to declare a couple legally separated? But because they have children, Ashley says that the law allows a lot of leeway, I guess, for couples who are separated, and it allows them to be under one roof so they can properly take care of their children together. So my question is this: if Ashley and Michael are following the guidelines of the law and sleeping in separate beds, then why was it so important for Michael to get a vasectomy? Because I thought Ashley had said that the reason why Michael wanted to get a vasectomy was so that because he thought that Ashley would try to get pregnant by him again. And so that's why he wanted to do the whole vasectomy thing, to ensure that he couldn't get her pregnant. So if y'all are sleeping in separate rooms, according to the law, then why did he have to go through such extreme measures? I don't know. So Candace said that she had to stop her IVF because she was so stressed out by the things going on in this group. These women are completely stressing out Candace, and so she had to put a halt on her IVF. Chris won't come around the group, Candace says, because he's just not comfortable with all the things that they've been saying about him. He's not comfortable about it. And so I guess, he's going to be another husband that we really don't see, because we really don't see Juan that much because he doesn't show up to anything unless he's having a conversation with Robin in their home. Other than that, we don't see much of him. We're for sure not going to see Michael Darby because it seems like he's absolutely checked out of the reality TV realm. And, Eddie's fine, but he doesn't really play any kind of major role in anything. But we do see Eddie now and again. It's like the husbands on this show have just completely, evaporated. So they talk about Ashley's hockey player. So Candace says that, the word on the street is that you're seeing some hockey player. And Ashley was like, wow, damn, word gets around fast. So she said that she was at some bar or some place and she was talking to a hockey player, but it was nothing serious. It was very casual. And then in her confessional, she says that, she's going to use her husband Michael Darby as like a gauge of determining like what caliber of man she wants to pursue something with. So she says that, Michael Darby is really intelligent. He can hold a conversation about anything. Like, I guess he mentally stimulates her. And so anybody that she's going to take seriously has to, be that intellectually equipped or as intellectually equipped as Michael Darby. So yeah. Okay. Good luck on that, Ashley. Then they talk about Karen because the whole conversation was centered around around, how rumors get started and how fast they spread. And they talk about the rumor about Karen and her side piece, Mr. Blue Eyes. This is something that Charisse had brought up a few years ago, that Karen was seeing some younger man who went by the nickname of Blue Eyes. And they talked about how Karen thinks that, she's being all, incognito, or nobody knows what she's doing. She thinks that she's so slick and so secretive, but everybody knows her business. And when I see Ashley and Candace talking, because Ashley did remind us, no, I think it was Candace. Candace did remind us that she got introduced to this group by Ashley. Ashley and her had known each other beforehand, and Ashley had brought her into this group. And when I see them together like this, it makes me once again really, really wish that they had a genuine friendship, because they have the most in common. But if I had it my way, I would try to make it to where Ashley and Candace were actual genuine friends. And I think what fell apart with them is that Candace got a little bit too involved with the problems that were going on with Michael. Whatever the hell Michael was doing, and I understand that you're on a reality TV show and everybody has to give an opinion on what's going on, like the hottest topic of the day, which at that time was Michael Darby and his shenanigans and being really grabby and very handsy to both men and women. And that was a topic of the day, and they were all forced to give their opinion. But I feel like if Ashley and Candace were truly friends to begin with, Candace would not have hit so hard on these issues about Michael Darby. There's plenty of people on that cast that could, hit below the belt with Michael Darby, but maybe Ashley and Candace were never friends to begin with. So it's just wishful thinking on my part. Then we move on to Mia. She's having dinner outside with her family, and she's talking about how they've opened up a 25th clinic. Now, I had read an article not too long ago that Gordon's brothers have iced out Mia and Gordon from from their family business. I guess this chiropractic business. They've iced them out. They've barred them from using any of the business accounts. And so I don't know exactly what started this or what happened, but the brothers have taken over these chiropractic business, the chiropractic business, and they did whatever they had to do with the courts to kind of push out Mia and Gordon from having anything to do with any of the clinics. So I don't know what's going on there. So Gordon then says, well, the big elephant in the room is the mystery around your health. And Mia was like, what about it? Like, she had no idea what he was talking about, even though she's been posting all of these messages online about her health and it possibly being cancer. Now all of a sudden she doesn't know what he's talking about when he brings up her health. And so then she remembers, that she's been alluding to that she may have cancer. If you listen to Giselle and Robin, it's all for attention. And Mia tells Gordon that, well, now that they've ruled out cancer, they still need to figure out what's wrong with me, because she has, lumps in various parts of her body. I still think that it's got something to do with her plastic surgery. I think it's got something to do with whatever implants that she's put in her body, etc. Then she tells Gordon that she's planning a trip to Miami, a girls' trip to Miami. So I guess that's going to be the trip for this season. We see Giselle and her children. They're out at the nail salon getting their nails done, and they're talking about the twins' Sweet 16 birthday party. Moving on from there, Robin goes to see an attorney. She wants to talk about the prenuptial agreement, and the first thing the attorney asked her was, does your fiance even know that you're here? And she said, yes, he does know that I came. It is so funny to me how Juan absolutely refuses to film. He absolutely refuses to film, because I would have thought that he would have wanted to have been at this consultation, but I guess they're going to come from the angle that this is all Robin's doing. Robin's going to be in charge of this, even though he has an interest in the prenuptial agreement. He should have a say-so in it, whatever. But they're going to make it look like this is all going to be Robin, and all he has to do is sign on the bottom line. So she tells the attorney that she wants to leave her businesses out of the marital property because she doesn't want him to have anything to do with that, which I think is kind of okay, fine. No, bottom line, I don't really care. I don't really give a damn what she does or what they do with these businesses, with their prenuptial agreement, with their, I don't care about none of that. But I just want to make a point in saying that if it was the other way around, you know what I mean? I feel like people would have a lot to say if it was Juan that had his businesses that he was building. And, if he's told an attorney, well, I don't want Robin to have any part of these businesses, because I can just imagine someone saying, well, even though she may not have had like a direct dealing with the business, she made it comfortable for you to start your own business. Like she was holding down the household. She was taking care of the kids while you went out to your business meetings and was trying to get your business off the ground. And I wonder if Juan can say the same thing. Like, hey, I may not have been there to pick out the designs for each hat, or I wasn't there to set up your website for embellish, but I made it possible for you to do that if he really did, because he's so MIA. He probably wasn't even around to take care of the kids or hold on the house when she was getting embellished off the ground. So yeah, she might have a valid point in keeping Juan out of any of her businesses. I think she also wants to include an infidelity clause, I guess, which means that if there is any type of infidelity, then you walk away with absolutely nothing. Moving on to Karen. Now, why in the world would Karen choose the coldest day of the year in Potomac to go pick tulips with Ashley and Wendy? That was just a bizarre scene. So everybody's freezing. Karen had to put on a sweater over her outfit. Ashley had to ask for a blanket. That's how cold it was. But Wendy had on like a thin, what do they call them? Like a thin, I forgot what it's called, cardigan. She had on like a thin cardigan, and underneath it, I think she had like a tank top or something, some type of like a thin top, and then a cardigan over it. She did not look like she was well protected from the cold, but I felt like she didn't want to get any more covering because she wanted to show off her cleavage, her still slightly new cleavage, and she wasn't gonna, use anything to cover up to stay warm, because if Ashley and Karen were that cold, I didn't understand why Wendy didn't have anything else over her, unless she's just that warm-blooded. So they talk about, so Wendy is supposed to be planning, I guess, this event called a burn session, and she was going to be like sending out an invitation to all the girls through a group text. And I think Ashley was like, you know what, Ashley and Karen, they were like, you know what, maybe you should send like a direct or a separate invitation to Robin to let her know that, you want to clear the air with her. And Wendy was like, absolutely not. They don't show me any grace. They don't show me any favoritism. So why would I do it to them? Exactly. Moving on. So Candace, she's at home with her husband Chris and her sister, and she's telling them that Trina, the Queen of the South, wants to do a feature on one of her songs because she's doing a re-release of one of her albums, and Trina's camp had reached out to her and said that Trina was interested in, I guess, doing like maybe like a little rap version on one of her songs, and she's also willing to be in one of her videos. So that is major for Miss Candace. She's doing big things, and I'm really happy for her. Then we get to Wendy's burn session. So they all have to go out to Virginia. Now, Wendy had sent a Sprinter van to pick up Candace, Giselle, Karen, Mia, and Robin. And she was going to ride there with Ashley, which I thought was a weird combo. She was going to ride separately with Ashley. And I was thinking, why would she put Candace in the same van as Giselle? That didn't make any sense to me. That was kind of shady of Wendy. If anything, she would have ridden with Candace, and then Ashley would have ridden with the Green Eye Bandits and everybody else. So I was like, that's odd, because that must have been a very uncomfortable ride for Candace to be stuck in that van with Giselle, who's saying such horrible things about her husband. So when they get to the burn session, so the whole thing about the burn session, if I can get it correctly, is that everybody has a chance to be in the hot seat. And when you're in the hot seat, then everybody at the table can say something positive, or like a positive affirmation to you or about you, or they can air out a grievance that they have with you. And so they write down their grievance that they have about you, and they read it. And, you being in the hot seat, you have to receive it. I guess you can, rebut or whatever. And then you burn the paper as if to say, okay, we've aired it out. We've talked about it. Now we're going to get rid of it. And it's not going to be an issue anymore between us. So Wendy's in the hot seat. Ashley, Candace, and Karen, they all say something, positive to her. Robin says, well, you and I were oil and water, and I'm fine with that. And that's all that she said. And it's like, Robin, if you knew that you had so much more to address, why did you just leave it at that? I guess she was trying to be kind of sort of positive and not get too messy too quickly. I don't know. Because, all she said was, you and I are oil and water, and I'm fine with that. And when it came to Giselle's turn, Giselle said, well, I ditto that. And then she tells Wendy, you've been on the Giselle hate train for about a year. And then at Karen's spring fling, you see me, and then you try to hug me very fake and phonily. I literally had to look up phonily to see could that possibly be a word, and needless to say, it's not. So she says, then you see me at Karen's spring fling, and you try to hug me, being very fake and phonily. And so then this opens up the door to the real issues. So Candace says to Robin, don't you have more to address? Don't you have other things that you need to address? And so then Wendy says, I can only address what Robin wrote on the paper. I can't go, outside of that. And so Giselle says, well, bump that paper and let's deal with the real issues. So that's when Robin says, I want you to stop telling people that I try to fight you, because it's not true. And so I'm thinking to myself, and she's referring to when they were at the dance studio at Ashley's dance event. And Robin and Wendy were going back and forth about why did Wendy single out only Robin and Giselle as the only people in the group that were questioning Mia's validity and alluding to that she might have cancer. So that's when they were going back and forth on that, Robin actually got out of her seat and was walking towards Wendy like she was going to do something. It looked aggressive. It looked threatening. It looked like she wanted to fight. And so then she tells Wendy, because that's not true. I wasn't trying to fight you, and stop making me look like a thug. And so Wendy was like, if you weren't trying to fight me, then why did people have to step in between us and hold you back? And so Robin says, nobody stood up to hold me back. And then Giselle actually seconded that and was like, nobody touched her. Nobody touched her. And so Robin gets on the phone with Charisse. And she asks Charisse, she says, at Ashley's dance event at the studio. Oh, let me go back a little bit. Was Giselle even there when Robin stood up and walked over to Wendy? Was Giselle even there? Because I thought at that time Giselle was having a powwow with Candace about Chris. So I don't even think Giselle was there. So she cannot sit there and say, oh, nobody was trying to hold you back. Nobody stood up to hold you back, because she wasn't even there. Maybe she was. I don't know. So then Robin gets on the phone with Charisse. She gets her on FaceTime, and she asks Charisse to basically vouch for her when she said that, she asked Charisse, did you have to hold me back at, when me and Wendy were going at it? Did you have to get up and hold me back when I got out of my seat? And so then at that moment, before she answered, I think Bravo showed the clip, and clearly, okay, Charisse got up and she held Robin back as Robin was approaching Wendy. She had to get out of her seat, Charisse. She had to get out of her seat and hold Robin back because it looked like Robin wanted to fight. Like she wanted to get down and dirty with Wendy right there in the damn dance studio. So Robin asked her on FaceTime, "Did you have to get up and hold me back?" And Charisse had the audacity to say, "No, I didn't hold you back." And my mouth dropped open. My mouth fell to the ground. I could not believe, knowing damn well that this stuff is on camera and it's going to come right back and bite you. These women have the audacity to tell a bold-faced lie. After this, we can never, ever believe anything that comes out of their mouths ever again. And what I appreciated was Wendy, she just sat there cool, calm, and collected like always. Very poised, just sat there very civilly, because she knew what the truth was, and she knew that the truth was going to be revealed at some point, either during the season or at the reunion. At some point, the truth is going to be revealed. So Robin, all of a sudden, she starts yelling and screaming like a banshee. I don't know what the hell she was saying, but she was yelling and screaming, pointing her finger at Wendy, because she knew that she was in the wrong. She knew she was in the wrong, and she gets so upset. She gets herself so worked up that she gets up and she leaves, and she gets back on the van. And Giselle was calling Wendy, saying that she was calling her a liar, saying that she was phony or whatever she said. And I was just like, Giselle, you weren't even there. So girl, pipe down. But that's insane how Robin lied and got Charisse to lie for her. The hate that they have for Wendy is just absolutely unbelievable. I had forgotten exactly why Wendy and Robin were, had this feud going on, this beef between them. And somebody in my comments reminded me, their beefs basically started when Wendy called out Robin's relationship with Juan as being a fake relationship, which to me, it clearly is. It so clearly is. So to me, it's like Robin and Giselle are both coming from a very, very, very jealous standpoint. They see Wendy being successful, being fabulous. I don't think that being married or having a man in your life should add any type of validity or value to a woman, but these women clearly do. So they see Wendy being successful, looking fabulous. She has a husband that loves her very much. And she's got everything. She's got the family. She's got the marriage. She's got the business. She's got the education. She can stand on her own. She could read you for filth. She's like the complete package, and they can't stand it. And they absolutely cannot stand it. Extremely jealous of Wendy, both of them. And then Ashley. Okay, so then after all of that kind of dies down, Ashley now addresses Candace. And she tells Candace that a friend of hers, some mysterious friend, a friend of hers told her that Chris was being too flirty with her at Karen's spring party. In what way? And the only thing that she could say was that Chris was like all up in her face. Like Chris was putting his face close to her face. And I'm like, Ashley. And then she brings poor Mia into this and tells Candace, well, even Mia said that Chris made her feel uncomfortable. And so Candace was like, what? And then Mia says, yes, at the spring fling, he was staring me down. And he wasn't staring at her. I don't think Chris even knew that Mia was even there. And this friend of Ashley that said that Chris was being too, like, that's in what specifically, like, what did he do? Usually too flirty is like, that's a very conclusive term. It's a very conclusive thing. When you say, well, someone was too flirty with me, what were they saying? What were they doing? This is something that the collective can all agree on. The average person can agree and say, yes, that behavior was too flirty. Just because he had his face all up in her face, supposedly, how was that too flirty if that even happened? Or maybe he was just trying to hear her better because it could have been really loud in there. Like, what are you talking about, Ashley? Ashley and Giselle and Mia, whenever they talk about Chris, they give these really vague accusations. Nothing is specific. They can't pinpoint anything that he specifically said or did. And the reason why they don't do that is because somebody had said, I don't know who or where I heard this, somebody had said that they don't want a lawsuit against them. If they're too specific, they'll be held to that. And it'll be a lot easier for Chris to sue them for slander and or defamation, because they're going to say that he specifically did something. But if they keep it very vague, oh, he did something to make me feel uncomfortable. Well, how do you prove or disprove that in a court of law? You really can't, because how you feel is how you feel. You know, somebody could just, you know, shake your hand and you can say, oh my God, that made me feel so uncomfortable. How you feel is how you feel. So they'd rather go with all of these generalizations instead of saying something very specific, because, you know, they don't want to deal with the lawsuit. It's just really sad that it's come to this. And with Ashley, so Candace got all over Ashley and told her that, you know, the things that you're saying is coming from a very dark, evil, vindictive place. You're just trying to be very vindictive. And in one way, I can kind of say, okay, maybe Ashley is trying to get back at Candace for all the horrible things that Candace has said about her online. But if you wanted to address that, you should have addressed it when it was actually happening and, you know, get at her online or talk to her directly about it. So I'm not exactly sure. Okay, obviously Ashley is trying to, you know, get back at Candace for the things that Candace said about Michael, because she kept on telling Candace, well, it doesn't feel so good now, does it? You know, basically saying that now you're on the other end of it and now you know how I felt and what I went through. And it's just... But Ashley, you forget that with Michael Darby, there was concrete proof of the things that he was doing, and there were things that were caught on camera. Okay, the cameraman or whoever, the member of production, actually filed a lawsuit against him. There was evidence of Michael Darby violating him. Monique has practically admitted that there was footage in her house of Michael Darby doing something inappropriate with someone, but they destroyed the footage. She's all but admitted that. So you can't compare the two, Ashley. And Ashley thinks that this is exactly the same. You know, you accused me, now I'm accusing you. But it's not the same, because with Michael Darby, he was actually doing these things. And with Chris, he's not. And if he is, there's no proof of it, like there was with your husband, Ashley. I was just, these women are awful, awful, awful. And I have to say it, everybody on this show has done some dirt. The only one that I can say is sort of clean is Wendy. And maybe Karen. But everybody here has done dirt, because Candace, the things that you would say were very, very hurtful things that you would say online about Ashley, calling her a wench, saying that Michael Darby was her slave master, and you're also married to a Caucasian man. I didn't understand that. So Candace, you know, you've gotten, you know, you got involved with the mudslinging as well. But it does not deserve this, because Chris has nothing to do with anything. Y'all are attacking this poor man left and right. It's just sad. It's just sad and pathetic how they had all gotten together and they had all decided that they were going to take Candace down via Chris. It's really, really sad. Anyway, that is my review. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.